I'm so excited. Are you excited? Hi my loves, welcome back guys to Bookmas Day 2. Welcome. If you haven't watched Bookmas Day 1, you can go and watch it. I will link the playlist down below because I have now begun a Bookmas playlist so you guys can watch all the videos if you fail to watch the other ones, so you're still updated. And in today's video we will be picking out my December TBR, but I thought I would try something different. I see people all over TikTok, all over YouTube even, make these like little mini books, and I wanted to actually try it myself to actually make them. I was planning to actually make my whole physical TBR into mini books. However, I didn't realise how much work and effort it took to do it, so I decided not to do that, but instead I thought I would construct my mini TBR for December. So what I've done is I've picked 24 books that I want to read that is immediate on my TBR at the moment. This was actually quite hard because I feel like this year I've actually read everything that I kind of wanted to. I managed to compile a list of 24 books that I wish to read in December. Obviously leading up to Christmas. I would have done 25 to lead you to Christmas, but realistically 24 sounds better in my head because it's an even number. Obviously I did it myself, so I made little mini books as you guys can see. So we have like loads of different books like this, and you can actually flip them over as well, and I made them myself, so I'm actually proud of that, and I thought it would be a fun way to pick out my December TBR. I feel like it's quite a new way, and what I might do is, now that I've got a hang of actually making them, I might end up doing my TBR version. And obviously I'm not going to end up reading all these books in this TBR, but we're going to be using it to pick out our December TBR. So I've decided, as there's 24 books, I'm going to pick 8 books. I do have a few books from my own TBR that I've kind of compiled that's not from here, it's like from a book club and stuff like that. So I will show you guys those when I go and collect all the books, but we will be picking 8 books out of the TBR jar. And you know, I thought it would be a fun way because I see people do the prompt jars, but I thought this was fun because with the prompts as well, sometimes I just get too confused, it takes too long to pick a book. I'd rather just like have my TBR, pick a book, I literally just pulled it out, whatever book it is the book that I have to read. So I'm going to pick 8 books, and those are going to be the 8 books that are going to be part of my December TBR. So yeah, I'm going to stop rambling, we're going to get to it, we're going to start picking out my TBR. As I said, we're going to pick out 8 reads, and then I want to go and collect them and then show you guys the physical copies and if I know anything about the books. So first up, we're going to pick out book number 1. So I'm literally not looking, I'm trying to spin this as much as I can, maybe even do a little bit of that. I'm literally gonna pick one up. I hope it's the right way around. If it isn't, I will cry, but I've just picked one up. Can you guys see it? I hope you guys can see it. So we're gonna look at it. Can you see that? Yes, you can. So book number 1 is going to be Between Friends and Lovers by Charlene Aboli, and this book I've been waiting to read for the longest time, and look how cute the mini book is. I'm obsessed with it. So that's going to be book number 1. I'm actually really excited. I've been waiting to read this book, so it's about time. And also the blues and everything. It's going to be such a fun time. So that's going to be book number 1. Let's now pick book number 2. So again, similar thing. What kind of read do I want? I think I want a fantasy. Let's see if we pick up any fantasies. Right, okay, I've picked up another book. You guys can see it first. Right, so book number 2 is Out on a Limb. I don't know if you guys can see that, if it will focus. This is by Hannah Bonham Young. I'm excused how sometimes some of these books look so messed up, but I tried my best, guys. I tried my best, and I feel like it came out pretty good for my first attempt at doing any of this. I am not an art person. I like doing arts and crafts, but I'm just not necessarily good at it. But I feel pretty happy with the effort that I put in. So Out on the Limb will be our second one. Again, I've been waiting to read this one. This one is accidental pregnancy. I know some people don't like that trope, but I actually quite like that trope. And yeah, I'm excited to read that. So that will be book number 2. Now we're going to pick out read number 3. Come on, I really want a fantasy for this. Oh, one nearly fell out. I really want a fantasy for this. Right, we're going to pick. Again, can you guys see that? Right, what is it? we have Broken Vow by Sophie Lark. This is still romance, but it's a dark romance. This is the 5th book in a series, I believe. I can't remember who it's based on, but I know the series is a dark romance based on like a family, and it's just one family, and then the different protagonists in terms of the male love interest that you might have. And I've actually been really enjoying this series, but I feel like I've abandoned it, so I'm actually quite happy that this has been picked. But that will be read number 3, Broken Vow by Sophie Lark. And then next up, we're going to pick up number 4. I was nearly about to pick one out and just show it, but no, we can't do that. In this as well, I do have 2 rereads in here because I couldn't really think of books I wanted to read immediately, so I did add in books that are already read, but I want to read them again, either because a new book's coming out or I just want to read them again. Pick out number 4. Right, number 4 has been picked. Right, you guys have seen it first. I don't know if I'm actually pointing at the camera or not. I hope I am. But book number 4 is going to be If Only I Had Told Her by Laura Nolan. This book, I don't know if I'm ready to read this, because If He Had Been With Me is the first book in the series, and I read it at the start of this year, I believe, or even last year, I don't remember. But that book destroyed me. Also mentioned in my Winter Rex video, which is Bookmas Day 1, and yeah, I've been waiting for this to be read, and we've been picked it. I just know this is going to put me through my feels, but it's been picked, so that's what we're going to have to read. And I have put it down in my TBR. I was the one that decided to pick it out of all the books I have in my TBR. I decided to pick that to put in my jar anyway. So that will be book number 4. And now we're going to pick book number 5. Come on, guys. We really need a fantasy here. I did put a few fantasies in here, so come on, fantasy. Do your job. Give me a fantasy. Right, we've picked another one. Right, for you guys first. Hopefully you guys can see it. Right. Ah! We didn't get a fantasy, but we did get a different genre. And we got All In by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the 3rd book in the Natural series. I've been really enjoying the Natural series. It is super fast paced, so I am excited to read that. I do need like a mystery thriller. I have been getting more and more into them since October, so I am glad this has been picked. I think that will help me break down the 4 romance books that I have to read. And yeah, I'm super excited to read that one. So now we're going to pick out book number 6. Come on, we need a fantasy. I need a fantasy here, please. Right, next up we have this for book number 6. This is not a fantasy, but your girl's not mad. Book number 6 is Consider Me by Becca Mack. I have already read this book. However, I do want to do a reread of the whole entire series because a new book comes out next year. I don't know when. I think in the summer anyway, so I have plenty of time. But we have 4 books to get through before that book comes out. And I have read them all before, but I want to reread them because Consider Me, I think I read last year. And I really want to read them. I miss Ollie, I miss Carter. So that is going to be pick number 6. I am not disappointed by any means, and I am super excited to be reading this. Now we're going to pick out book number 7. Right, we need a fantasy. If I don't get at least one fantasy, I think the next 2 books need to be fantasy. If it's not, I will cry. Right. So next up we have this book. I'm trying not to look at all. Alright, have you guys seen? I don't know if you guys can see that. What is it? Okay. We got a fantasy. So next up we have The Crimson Moth by Kristen Cicerelli. This one is a bit deformed, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of butchered when I was doing it. But maybe let me show you this side. I kind of butchered it, but that's going to be our next book. The Crimson Moth I have been waiting to read anyway, and it is a fantasy. It's the 1st book in the series. I don't know if the 2nd book is out yet, but I do want to read this. This is the same title as the other one, The Heartless Hunter. This is the same book, it's just named differently for the UK and other places. So that will be book number 7. I am happy we have got our fantasy, and this is also a romantasy book, so I am really excited to be reading this. Now we're going to pick out our last read, our 8th and final read. I thought I would do 8 reads because 8 is my favourite number and, you know, magic number for me. So we're going to pick out 8. I'm so excited. Right. Book number 8. It's like a good one. Right, so that is number 8. You guys can see first. what is it? This is not a fantasy, but I am not disappointed. This is Where's Molly by H.D. Charlton. This is actually a spin-off book to the Haunting and Hunting Adeline series. Not many people like the series, but I do. And Where's Molly, I can't wait for that one. I've been waiting to read it. It's a little novella as well, so it's not too long. And yeah, really, really cute. I've been waiting to read it. The cover is giving spooky, but it's also, for me, I know it's going to be like a cozy mystery at the same time, even though there's very dark elements into it. But I am really excited to read that. So that will be read number 8. So now we're going to have to say goodbye to every other book that was in here. We have all the books that did get picked right here. And right now we're going to go and pick out all these books off my bookshelves and yeah, maybe talk a little bit about them. So let's go grab them. Right guys, I am back. I've collected all the books. So I actually brought in some books that are part from my book club that I'm part of. And then I have 2 books that I am taking from November that I didn't finish into December. So first we're going to go over obviously the books that was picked out, which is these babies here. They look so pretty. I feel like this is such a pretty stack. I'm really happy with it. So obviously first up we have Between Friends and Lovers. So this book, I think it is a love triangle is what I know. It's 2 best friends and obviously between friends and lovers. So I think he becomes her lover and then one of them's her friend. And yeah, I haven't heard much about it. One of my closest book besties, she has read this and she really enjoyed it, so I am really excited to read it. And the cover is just so beautiful. The cover is just stunning and I just can't wait to read it. And then next up we have Out on the Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This book, I am so excited. This was also mentioned in Bookmas Day 1 and this book just feels so cozy. The cover is giving winter, it is giving cozy season. I am really excited. As I said before, it's accidental pregnancy and they have 9 months to get to know each other. It's a one-night stand and he has a prosthetic leg and then she's also, I think, got a disability, and I've heard that this book is super cute. So I'm really excited to read it. It looks like it's going to be such a cozy time of a read. And then next up we have Broken Vow by Sophie Lark. I didn't mention this, but this is the 5th book in the series, and what I love about this series is there's photos. So when you go to like certain scenes, there will be like a photo of something, and let's just say this book is spicy, so sometimes you might have some spicy scenes, but you have like little photos like this or when things are happening. So I am super excited, and I just love that each book has a different like cover to it. I think they're just really cute. Even though this is a dark romance, I think it's more of a mild romance. I don't think it's that much of a dark romance really. It's just that it's a mafia romance. I don't think there's much of a dark element. I think one of the books were, but apart from that, I don't think it is. And next up we have If Only I Had Told Her. This one is in the point of view of the male main character in the first book. I have no idea what the names are. I completely forgot because whilst the book destroyed me, that's all I remember. And yeah, I'm really excited to continue this because I feel like it's been sitting on my TBR since it's come out this year, and I want to read it because it wasn't a series that I love too much, so I just want to read it and just have it done with. I don't go into this thinking it's a cute book, and I'm going into it not thinking it's a cute book because I know what happens, and this is literally just in his point of view. And if you read the first book, you understand why I'm like more afraid to read this, and I think it's just going to put me through emotional turmoil. But nevertheless, I am excited to read it. Next up we have All In by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the 3rd book in the Natural series. This is featured a bunch of teenagers who work for the police, and they have special abilities, not like magical abilities. They're just really like, one's good at reading people, one's really smart at mathematics and stuff like that, one's a really good liar, so on. And yeah, this follows Cassie, and I'm enjoying the series so much this time, and this time round they are all part of certain active cases, so I am really excited for that. And adding a little mystery thriller for cozy season is perfect for times where I want to have a genre switch and just sit and read a book that's so bingeable, because this is so bingeable and so fast paced. So I am excited to continue. And then next up we have obviously Consider Me. I don't really take it this as introduction. If you never heard of Consider Me, this is by Becca Mack. This is from the Playing for Keeps keep series. My books have just fallen over. That is what that sound was. And this book is my lifeline. I'm so excited to read it again. One again on my book besties. We love talking about this book, so on. And Becca, she knows how much I love her. And this book is amazing. If you haven't read it, I definitely recommend it. Don't be daunted by the size of it, because for me it's so fast paced. The characters, I love it. It's groveling and I just want to reread it. So that is why I'm happy that it was picked. And then next up we have Where's Molly by H.D. Charlton. This one obviously follows the grandma in the Haunting Adeline series. And this one I'm really excited about because you get to see some of the stuff that you didn't really, so like it kind of fills in the plot holes. So this book didn't have the plot holes, like All Haunting and Haunting Adeline didn't have plot holes, but there were certain like points of views I wanted to hear more of. It was more like a little subplot, not even a subplot, like something really tiny, and this book you get to hear more of. And yeah, I just feel like it's a nice little novella to get you into the dark romance mood, and who doesn't love a good dark romance as much as me? If you're a dark romance girly, I definitely recommend the series. The series is very dark, so yeah, and I think it's going to be dark as well, but it is a smaller novella. And what I love about this series is not really for the spy stuff, it's more the mystery. I really like the mystery element to it, so I am really excited to read this. Next up, last but not least, we have The Crimson Moth by Kristen Citarelli. I'm obsessed with this cover that I have. It's the hardback cover because the paperback hasn't come out yet. Again, this one is a girl that turns into a moth. She has like special abilities. There's a hunter, they fall in love, but he's also hunting her. I don't think he knows it's her, and as well she's a witch. So fantasy, I love a good fantasy, and I might read more fantasy, which you guys will see in a sec. But I am really excited to read this. I've heard great things about it. Obviously before I thought it was a Heartless Hunter, so I kept looking for that book, but I couldn't find it in the UK. I was thinking what, and then I realised this is a book for it, and yeah, seems really fun. I love like witchy movies and TV shows, so I'm excited to read like a witchy fantasy, and it's also got a romance subplot, which, you know, I love. Next up, we're going to just talk about 3 books that are just additional reads. So first up we have Lightlark by Alex Astor. This book is part of Sarah's book club pick. If you don't know Sarah, she is a booktuber, one of my favourite booktubers, and in our book club for December we are reading this. We are also reading December Darling, which is going to be on the screen somewhere, by Lauren Asher. This is just a little Christmas novella. This month we picked like a Christmassy one and then also like a fantasy read. And yeah, I love this book club. If you're not part of the book club, I definitely recommend, because we read some really fun stuff. Last month I read Phantasma, which was really, really good. And this I'm really excited to read. It's a book that I've been waiting to read, so when it got picked I was happy, I was over the moon. So I'm really excited to read this. I don't know much about it. Every 100 years there's an island that appears called Lightlark, and basically these 6 rulers of the realms all go there to break their curses and win the power, and they all have something to hide, and to break the like curse they have to save themselves and their realms. But it also says here 1 ruler must die. Ooh, okay, so I'm guessing it's gonna have like 2 rulers and they're gonna end up falling in love, but one of them is gonna have to die. Not one of them's gonna have to die, but one of these 6 rulers are gonna have to die, but these 2 are like in love with each other, so they have to fight that as well. That sounds really, really fun. I didn't really read that. So next up we have Love in the Winter Wonderland by Abiola Bello. This book I absolutely adore. I can't wait to read this, but this one was on my November TBR. I didn't get to read it, but I'm reading it this time. This one's like 2 people that are not working. One works at a bookstore or owns it, and then the other girl, like, she comes to help him, but there's also like enemies to lovers. I don't know. I don't know much about it, but I think I know bits and pieces, and it's a black romance. Really excited, Christmassy, wintry, perfect. And last but not least, one book I didn't also read in November was The Serpent of the Wings and the Night. I didn't want to rush myself whilst reading this, which is why I took my time, but I am planning to read it in December. This one is vampires. If you love vampires, it's a vampire romance fantasy. That sounds like too much. I should have just said a vampire romantasy. So that was a bit extra, but I am really excited to read this. I didn't want to rush it, and it was getting towards the end of the month, so I decided to keep it and read it in December instead, waiting to read that. So that's going to be on my reads for December, but those are all the books that I am planning to read in December. 12 books in total, 8 we picked with my mini book jar, and I'm really excited. I feel like we have a really good diverse mix, which we love. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed going over what books I'm going to be reading in December. Maybe you guys want to make mini books yourself. I know you can buy them also like on Etsy if you don't want to make them yourself. So yeah, that is it for today's video for Bookmas Day 2. I hope you guys enjoyed. So stay tuned if you want to, if you haven't subscribed before. If you enjoyed this video, obviously make sure you give it a like and a subscribe, follow my socials, and yeah, that is it for now. Stay blessed everyone, and as I always say, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye guys.